Welcome back to Positive Birth Corner podcast, where we're changing the narrative around birth, one positive story at a time. And I'm your host, Marinese Lemon. You already know this is such a special week. We are celebrating Black Maternal Health Week. And our theme, you already know, I've been talking about it, right? Justice and joy, right? So this is our last episode for this special week. And I cannot wait to dive into it because I'm telling you, this is going to be an amazing conversation. We have the one and only Deanna. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling? How are you
I
feeling?
feel great.
You feel great.
I feel wonderful.
You look great.
Thank you. So do you?
You
Look
great.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So literally, I have been excited to have this conversation with you because we have actually not done this.
No, we have
We
not.
have not done this. I remember when I first met you. So I've known about you, right? And stalking you on the social media.
That
Stalking
goes
you
both ways.
on the social media streets, like, oh, she's really cool, and love, your journey and your story and how you advocate, how you do like beautiful work in this community.
Thank you so much.
So I cannot wait to dive into it. I do have to talk about you a little bit. We have to brag about you first because you out here are an artist.
I am. That's where I start.
That is actually amazing. If you guys have seen our flyers and all of the design and graphics, that was you.
It was.
That was you.
was.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful work. And I told you I think this was like last year. I was like, listen, this planner that you created, like this birth worker special edition, changes my life till today.
Thank you.
Till today, you do beautiful work.
Thank you. That's the space that I live in. So
Wow.
the work that we do in this space in maternal health,
Yeah.
I get to use those gifts
Yeah.
to amplify that. So whether it's
Wow.
design, art, any type of creativity, like that's where I find enjoyment. That's passion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, okay, I got you. Because that is literally, when we talk about, this week, right? We've been talking about Black Maternal Health Week, and this theme has just like been like resonating with me so much. And it's like when you talk about like what you do, like as an artist, as someone who creates things, like that's that joy in this work. You need to have that.
Give life.
Ah, okay, I love it. So let's start with, I want to really just kind of start from the beginning, with you and your journey. Like, who are you and what is this journey? What was this journey for you into motherhood?
My journey. That's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. I know. You can bring, we
Who
can.
am I? Because that from the day it kind of changes. But I think what stays consistent is one, I'm a child of God. I'm in a space of healing and helping to give life, whether it's in design or in maternal health and infertility spaces. Like you said, I'm an artist. So everything comes back to bringing something out of,
Wow.
bringing life out of places that
Yeah.
you may not expect or you may not see. And so at the core, that's who I am. And then that's who I am in everything
Wow.
that I do. So whether I am designing something or whether I'm sitting at a table trying to impact change within this space, like that's who I represent. I try to represent light in that space.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, like I see that in you, right? Again, we don't really know each other like that, but I see that in you. I think just like in every space that you're at, like I see the light. You really do bring that light, like that energy. I think when I first met you at the brunch,
Yes.
I was like,
we were like sisters already. So it's social media. Like we said, I don't think I've met you.
yeah.
But I feel like I know you.
Same,
Because
same.
when we're in this space, that's one thing I enjoy. In this space of maternal health, we're constantly around other people that are healers, thought thinkers, creative designers and things that are trying to amplify voices. And so when we're doing that same work, there's already a light shine on that. There's already a positivity. There's already, so when I met you, it was like I finally get to see you in person, but because I watch everything that you do, right, we just embraced each other and it was beautiful.
I know.
It was beautiful.
No, I was like literally had that memory of like, oh, I remember when I first
we were like dancing in the line and just like embraced each other. So
I love it.
beautiful.
I love it. I love it. I was, of course, in the name of like stalking you on social media, right? Like you have been named like the infertility warrior, right? Your journey into birthing, into motherhood, right, includes, infertility. And this is such like a subject that we don't hear much about. It's here like in our community, but we don't have these conversations, right? And so I would love to hear kind of like, your story and your journey. And then now like, this is now the work that you do. This is
Yes.
like your advocacy is into like, infertility and saying like, how do we advocate? How do we educate the community? But take us back to to your story into birthing.
Indeed. So it's interesting that you say that because it's not a huge light on infertility.
Yeah.
Like there's a huge light on maternal health, which
Right.
is the week that we are in right now. And I think
Right.
this is very, very important work.
Yeah.
But I think what some people fail to realize is infertility is a part of that work. It's not what I would say. It's not adjacent to.
Right. Right.
It's within it.
For sure.
And so when we look at the issues that cause maternal mortality, and we look at the issues that women are facing when they're pregnant and giving birth, it's the same issue at the root, at the core that women are fighting that suffer with infertility and reproductive health challenges. So if me as a woman, for me, I struggled to conceive. Like that didn't come easy.
Yeah.
And the circle that I was in, I didn't see a lot of people going through that. I didn't see it, or they weren't talking about it.
Right. I was gonna say, what do you think that was? Do you think people were not?
People just don't.
They don't talk about it, right? Because it's not necessarily rare.
It's not.
Right?
It's not. It's just a dark topic. And especially generations before us, we didn't discuss those things.
We didn't even know about it. You
No.
just thought that, oh, you get pregnant and then you have a baby and then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think with me experiencing the things that I did, it caused conversations to start to be had. And I actually learned a lot about my own ancestry background and my own like great aunt that also was like the auntie, like to she didn't have children.
Okay.
And so it wasn't talked about.
Wow.
And then I was able to have conversations with my own aunt that struggled to conceive and was told she wouldn't have children. And she has a son now.
Wow.
So I think being able to create spaces, it's not just for the generation that's now, but it's delivering the generation from before that felt like they had to be quiet and silent.
Right.
Because there's plenty of times I talk and like it'll be like this older lady that'll just walk up to me and say, you don't know how much that freed me. Like I'm holding, 8 losses that I never talked about, and so I think it's important to tell those stories because misdiagnosis, racism, not being listened to, all those things are the reason it took me like 20 years to get diagnosed.
Wow.
So, I live my life, I always say 90% of the time in pain. And that was my norm. Like I didn't even know that healing was possible.
Wow. Wait, what kind of pain? What do you mean by that?
Menstrual cycle pain, ovulation pain, pain during intercourse, pain afterwards. Like that was my norm.
Wow.
And so I didn't think that was in the cards for me.
Wow. And you thought all of that was like normal, like
It was my normal.
It was your normal.
And so that's the thing. So a lot of times when we have these discussions, when we talk about what is normal, and I ask women, do you have a normal cycle? Like that's really not a productive question because most women will tell you it's normal.
It's normal to me. It's normal, right?
But when you ask, well, how heavy is that cycle? Like how many pads are you cycling through?
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much is your pain? And let's say a 10. They'll say a super heavy flow. Well, baby, that is not normal. There's not. Well, my mom had the same cycle, and so because she was never taught healing. We're taught to cope. We're taught to cope. We're not taught to heal.
True, because when you think about like as women when we're on our cycles, like we're supposed to like pretend like we're not just like bleeding,
dying, like. We're just dying, like just picking
you're like,
Lord, like
we're with these kids. You're like, wait a minute,
right, and right. You're in some cases your kids. Like I was 11 when I got my cycle, I had to go to school.
You had to go
How
to
was I going to explain that? In high school, I was a cheerleader. My coach used to tell me, and if she's listening, I still love you. Taught me a lot. But she used to be like, go run around the track. Like, go run around the track.
That's
Like, I'm dying. Like, my womb feels like it's falling out.
Wow.
You're literally experiencing labor every month. Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like labor.
Yeah.
And I know that now because I do have a daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
My menstrual cycle pain felt worse than my labor pain
wow.
because it was constant.
Because it was constant.
Labor, at least you breathe in between.
Right. It comes with
You get a break. No, it's constant. It just gets sharper. Like, I had to breathe through them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were at this space. Wow. I'm like having a whole moment because, as a childbirth educator, I used to say, oh, contractions feel like your period. But I've had people say to me like, oh, if that's the case, then I don't want to do this, which kind of like which made sense, was like everybody experiences very differently. So if I'm telling you that like in your pregnancy, your contractions are going to feel like period, right? For someone who has a lighter period and lighter cramp.
They don't even know what's about to happen.
Right. That the next person is like, wait, what you mean? Like, do you understand what like I experience? And you're just like making that clear as you speak right now. Everybody is different.
Everybody is different. And so like it's even times that I've talked about that, like that level of pain. And if it's a child that's experiencing these things and their mother did not have that experience, she can't fully relate.
She can't relate.
She doesn't understand.
Yeah.
She could think that the child is overreacting or just being dramatic.
Yeah.
Because I was labeled with that all. I mean, I can be a little dramatic in general, which is why my child is that way. But I think it's important that we comb through that to see exactly what's happening because that's not normal. And so yes, I think education and knowledge and understanding what signs to look out for is important for mothers and children so that we are starting at the root because waiting until we're trying to conceive is too late.
Right.
Like, so that's why I'm thankful that we're even having this conversation and we're welcoming it into this week.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, like, we're trying to impact maternal health within the bubble of pregnancy and postpartum. But the issue, where's the root? The root is so much bigger.
Wow.
It's so much bigger. And so we can't forget this. It's almost like when you look at reproductive health, you look at bias, you look at racism. And I've done a lot of research within this area because of my design background and because I study design within advocacy, right?
Whoa.
And so when we look at those, you go down two paths. You either are on the path to get pregnant and have a child and you're dealing with the disparities of that, or that you're being robbed of that because of racism and systematics because you're not being diagnosed. Either way, it's impacting your life in a detrimental way because the same women are still sometimes bleeding out in the emergency room because their pain is not seen. Because they're dealing with internal bleeding from endometriosis, fibroids, all of the things.
Wow.
And so we have to shine a light on both things because
it's all connected. It can't be separate. We can't talk about Black maternal health. We cannot talk about.
We're going to talk about
the womb. Right. And so did you have people who how did you get to this space with your own journey? Like, did you have someone who walked with you? What was that thing for you that was like, oh, I need to advocate? Or was it like a provider that kind of helped, enlightened you with what was happening?
So I always say pain moves you. Right. So I think for years, because I didn't know healing was a possibility, I sat in it and kind of took what was being dealt. Like I'm especially as a Black woman, we're raised like this is the hand you're dealt. You play it. And you play it well. And you play it to the best of your ability.
Right.
And if I'm dragging my leg and I feel like my womb is about to fall out, like I just gotta keep a smile on my face and I keep going.
Yeah.
So I think if it wasn't for the pain increasing, because in my mind, more pain, I must be getting closer to my blessing. Like I must be getting closer to this, to the child that I desire to have, even though I didn't know it was possible. But I knew something was wrong. So first is coming to a realization that something is wrong. and I need to talk to somebody.
And
But
this was when you were trying to have a baby?
I was trying to have a baby.
Okay.
But now I was told when I was 18, I probably would struggle to have conceive. I was never diagnosed, but that was what I was told at 18.
Just like that? Like
Just
no
like that.
explanation?
You're
no,
in so
like...
much pain. You probably have endometriosis. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it right now until you're trying to have a baby. Because again, that's what they care about. So in doing that, you're robbing me because I had a problem that increased and got worse. And so they'll give you the birth control pill, which is a Band-Aid, which is a whole nother conversation.
Oh my word.
And so if I'm not doing that, they really don't want to have the conversation. So I had a lot of doctors that ignored me, that I didn't know. And so it took me to experience what I believe I had a cyst that ruptured. I can't prove it because I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't go. And when I called my doctor, because I was up all night convulsing in pain, felt like my body was on fire. Like I felt like fire was just coming out the side of my body. And she ignored my call and didn't call me back. And so I went to work and everything. And it was another doctor. I had a friend that referred me to her doctor.
Yeah.
She was such a blessing. And she said, come right in. And not only did she, by the time I got to her office, I was like, it was the most vulnerable position to be in, right? Because I'm like in the GYN. You know what position you are in the GYN.
Listen, your legs are out wide.
And you're bawling.
Oh my God.
Bawling. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong. And she was like, stop this. Like, are you trying to tell me, that what you want to have a child, like you will have a child, like that the Lord is not going to bring you this far, You're trying to tell me everything is plastered inside. And I said, but you don't understand. Nobody is doing, no one's listening to me.
Yeah.
Right there, she said, I'm going to deliver your baby. And she did.
Whoa.
And she did. She referred me to one of the best reproductive endocrinologists. And by the time I went to his office, I had pulled my records, because this is why I'm big on advocacy. Self-advocacy first before you can even find, we can find the right doctors, but if you're not doing the work yourself, how do we get there? And so I pulled all my old records, so I already knew. I found that I had what's called a hydrosalpinx, which meant that I know it sounds like a crazy animal. My fallopian tube was completely damaged and blocked, and it was filling up with fluid. And so apparently my body was self-aborting. So if I was getting pregnant, my body was self-aborting. So that showed up in a previous record that a doctor pulled, and she never told me. She never told me. We never did anything about it. She knew I was trying to have a baby. And so had I not shifted, had I not went to a new doctor, had I not, I would not, who knows what I would have still been on this hamster wheel.
This hamster wheel, not knowing. Now, so you had that, because I cannot repeat that word that you just said. So you had that, and then you had, what did you say?
I had endometriosis, fibroids. And so I wound up having surgery. Like when I walked into that doctor's office, he said, you need surgery, without him even touching me yet, based on what I've seen.
Wow.
And I was like, no one said anything. Wow. He was like, are you in pain? And I just, again, the tears rolled. I said, I'm always in pain, all the time. He said, if you said you weren't in pain, I'll be surprised. He was like, because from what I can see, so I'm going to take a look myself. So he performed all my surgeries.
And this is where, can you explain kind of like what the surgery is? Because I want to make sure that like we understand what endometriosis, I can't even say the word, and fibroids is, right? Because I think we hear about these words, and sometimes I wonder if like we don't fully understand what they are, and when they're talking, when a surgery is kind of like offered to the table, I don't know that we always like understand what this means. Yeah.
So endometriosis is when the lining, from what I understand, the lining in your uterus where it grows starts to grow in places it's not supposed to.
Right.
So it then creates scar tissue, which is very painful. And in some cases, it can grow in other places on other organs. And that's when it really can really detrimental to your health. There's a lot of people that suffer from it, and there is no cure. Just like so many other things. There's no we don't do enough research on women's health. So fibroids, same thing.
Yeah.
Fibroids are the tumors, that are so common. They treat it like, oh, it's just, it's just a fibroid.
Yeah.
And so had they not cut me open, I didn't get diagnosed until I was 33.
Wow. And you had been experiencing this.
My first cycle at 11 was painful.
Damn.
And it only increased every month.
Whoa.
So
the point you're about, wanting to have a family, this is all coming up. When this should have been coming up before.
So many years. I feel like I was robbed of that. I can live life a lot better now. Like I'm living it more vibrantly because I'm not crippled in pain. Like you don't realize how much that impacts your quality of life.
Right.
Like your quality of life, and that was with my not my endometriosis, my endocrinologist. He said, I know you want to have a baby. He was like, but first let's talk about your quality of life. And I was like,
whoa,
I can have that? Wow. Like, wow. Like that was like an awakening moment. Like I hadn't even considered myself. And never considered, I had given that up a long time ago. I just wanted a child and I was willing to wreck my body and be in as much pain if it meant that I would have the miracle that I wanted. Wow. So if I could have that and a better quality of life.
Right. Wow.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was my less than 1% chance. So after surgery, they said I had less than 1% chance of having a child because the one tube I was left with didn't work fully. When I came off the table, they couldn't push fluid through it.
Wow.
So yeah, she's truly a miracle.
I know she's here. She's in the building.
She's here in the midst. In the midst.
She's so cute. She's so cute. And you then have kind of like, gone ahead and this is the work that you do. I know that we have, Infertility Week, which is where we focus the same way we're doing this, this week with Black Maternal Health Week. There's also like a focus of like Infertility Week, making sure that we're really like raising this voice, right? The education, the advocacy, so that we're aware of this, we're educated, about this. Can you talk more about like what you do and also tell us about Infertility Week? Because I think there's a lot more that has evolved with that as well.
So what was created in that when it was my dark place was Barren Fruit. Barren. And it's supposed to sound like bearing. It's a play on words because the idea is that fruit is still produced in the dark space. Fruit is still produced when you're on your knees. Fruit is still produced when the tears are flowing. And so had I not experienced what I did, Barren Fruit wouldn't have been born. It was in that place on my face, on my knees, praying for this miracle that Barren Fruit was produced. Like I didn't know I would have her when it was created. And so after I had her, I could have, I had my miracle, so I've had people ask like, well, why do you still do this work? And I think what's important is that I was called to this work. I went through that for a reason. It didn't happen in a bubble. And so going to help other women, help pick them up off the floor because I felt like I was going through it without, I had support. I had support from my husband. I had support from my close family and friends, but I didn't have a lot of resources. Like I had to like figure it out, and so I didn't want other people to have to go through that alone or not feel like they could talk to anybody. Not everybody has a supportive family. And so what we do is try to help provide resources, information, connect people with the right doctors, help them to learn to advocate for themselves, how to find a care team that advocates with you, and provide a sense of community and upliftment. And then also help people get through the season of it, because a lot of times in this season, you're thinking, and this goes for anybody, even if you can't relate to infertility. This is when you're in a season of stuckness, when you're in a season of barrenness, when you're in a season where you feel like it's dark and you can't get out. There's something that's happening with you. And sometimes we're just focused on where we want to be or where we want to get to that we don't realize the transforming that's happening right now. And so that's what we try to bring forth and bring out. A lot of times you're being called to something. Something is being birthed in you in that season. And so in Infertility Week, it's all about that. And it's the week, it's next week. It's right after, so a lot of times people don't know that.
Yeah.
So I think it's the reason they're so interconnected.
It makes sense.
That it just flows right in.
It moves right in.
Yep.
I love it. It makes sense. Yes. And we will have that information in the show notes as well, because again, we cannot be talking about Black Maternal Health Week, right? Without talking about, infertility, without talking about what it is that we're experiencing, right? If we're going to talk about joy and justice, it's going to include all of it. It has to. It has to. And that's why we were like, we have to have Gianna come and talk with us, because we don't want to separate that, because we know that it is very much connected. I found out recently that we have like college kids now who listen to the podcast,
Awesome.
which I think is hilarious, because I'm like, well, tell me more, right? And I hope that this, as you were talking, I was like, I hope that this is talking, and I know for a fact it's talking to somebody, because you said there's like this normacy in like, oh, my periods are just really heavy. Oh, I'm just like in so much pain, right? I have dear friends who are literally like, the first day I can't even go to work because this is really hard. And, I hope that this is really that, for you, to help you like at least start. And then you got to go find Deanna on the social media streets. Definitely go follow her and check her out at Barren
Fruit.
Barren Fruit. Again, we have her info, right? We'll have it in the show notes. And Infertility Week, because we need to have this conversation. And here you are, like with like a miracle, right? Like, and I'm like, this is literally perfect for Positive Birth Corner, because we need to hear the stories that like this miracles are happening, right? And miracle in flesh right here.
Thank you. Yeah, and I had two. I literally, from that place, I had two positive birth experiences because my daughter and Barren Fruit.
Wow.
That movement was born on that floor.
On that floor. I just got chills. Oh my God. Oh wow. Well, thank you so much for being here. As we are closing out, because we've been asking this everybody, right? So out of all of the things that you do or the hats that you wear, we want to know what is kind of like maybe one silly thing or something that like cracks you up, or something that you just really enjoy doing. I know you talked about art, right? Like, so we're like taking out all of these, like taking off all of these hats. And just for you to share us one thing that brings you joy.
Dancing. I'm silly. Like,
I love it.
For people that like really, really know me, I am, it's funny because some people will say I'm quiet and reserved, and the other group is like, she is crazy, like, because there is a very goofy, silly side of me. And I get a lot of times my daughter is the same way. And so because she's my daily reminder of God's grace, she, we might make reels that I never post. I should post them one day.
You do post them.
We take videos of them and like,
God,
or silly, make silly faces, like all day. So.
I love that. Yes, because we need to continue being joyful. This is how we continue doing this beautiful work. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This has been so great. Please share this with someone who needs to hear it. I am just so excited. It's been such an honor to do this all week. Bye. This episode is sponsored by Oshun Family Center. Oshun provides therapy for the culture through psychotherapy and holistic healing, including doula and lactation support. Their work is rooted in creating a welcoming space for healing, refuge, and breaking generational cycles, always centering community and dignity in choice. For more information, please check out Oshun at www.oshunfamilycenter.org.